Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brothers Take podcast. I'm Chris. I'm joined by my brothers Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
And we are back in the room to talk more gaming. 2023, the year that keeps on giving so many incredible games this year. We're eating well. Gamers are eating well. But Eric has raised a good question amongst us that we're going to discuss this week. With so many huge blockbusters and games getting bigger and bigger and bigger, what is a game series or genre that we feel is being neglected or needs to be explored more? What are we missing? What's not being provided now, this year, or in recent years with all these other huge games that we're getting? You know, certain itches are maybe being scratched, but maybe others are not. And you're like, where's that thing I'm looking for? Or when is that series going to come back? Or when are they going to do something with that game? Or they announced that game and we never fucking saw that game. When are we getting abandoned? That's what we want to know. That's what we're going to be discussing in this week's episode. And as the discussion goes on, we would love to hear from you guys too. If you're watching this YouTube, make sure you jump down to the comments at any point to share your thoughts on either whatever we bring up, or if it makes you think of certain games, like, actually, yeah, where is that game, or where's that series, or why aren't we getting more games like this? That's what I'm missing. That's what I want back. Do let us know if you enjoyed this discussion. Give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for all future content. And to those of you listening to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on this week's topic. But without further ado, let's talk gaming. Okay, Eric, what made you think of this? Was there something that brought this topic to mind? Because
it was sitting at work, doing my work, as you do when you're working.
Yeah.
And it kind of just randomly popped into my head where I was like, Ghost of Tsushima, what a great game, right? And that was a game where I was like...
It was.
Thanks. Yeah.
It was, in fact, a game.
It was one of the games that year.
Beautiful game. That was one of the games that year.
Yeah.
You're like, God, you guys should like repeat each other all the time.
Yes.
Yes.
So it was a game where I was just I really wanted something set in like a Japanese or Asian backdrop, but pretty much all the games were Sekiro or Neo 2 or Shogun, Ninja Gaiden. They were all very hard, and I was like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted something that was maybe like, I suppose, The Witcher or something. I wanted open world RPG, grand story, grand characters. Ghost of Tsushima came out, and it was exactly everything I wanted at that time. So just thinking about that, I was kind of thinking, is there anything else like that? Like, not so for that, it was, I suppose, a genre of an RPG, an open world RPG with that sort of Asian backdrop to it.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't going to be like killing you every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I kind of wanted at that time, and then that delivered. So I suppose the topic is, or the question I'm posing to you is there something where yous had that at some point?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Or as well, is there something where you're like, I would love to play something like this, or to continue this franchise or whatever it is, and it just doesn't seem to be happening. Like, you know, like another time was we kept getting first-person shooters. We were aching for the third-person, like, adventure game, I suppose. And then we got things like Uncharted and stuff. That was sort of what was scratching that itch, or even Last of Us. So, yeah. That's kind of the point. Question I'm posing to you.
You know what? I like it, and I like where it's coming from, and I totally get the Ghost of Tsushima thing, where it's like, yes, they're making plenty of games in this backdrop, but it's not doing quite what I'm looking for. And then finally something comes and it strikes gold. I like it. Why don't let's start there, actually. Like, you bring up Ghost of Tsushima. So, Adam, for me and you, like, a game that, or a couple of games where it's like, when it came along, it's like, yes, this is what I was looking for. This actually fills a gap that I was waiting for. Maybe by surprise, but I don't know. But yeah.
I really can't think
Before,
of anything.
oh yeah, okay, okay. A few came to my mind, right? So, without the obvious one, Final Fantasy VII remake,
Right, yeah. Okay.
because I forever wanted that, and then of course they announced it, and then it exceeded expectations. A quick note on that, while we're here, they have officially announced the pronunciation of Kate Sith. And the internet got mad and happy. Different people were.
I'm seeing more anger about that than I am seeing people happy about it. I think everyone who just pronounced it that way were like, there was another way, and everyone who pronounced it the other way are getting really, really agitated, saying that it's cultural appropriation and so on.
I've seen that. All right, and like the kind of like it disrespects like culture and whatever with the pronunciation. I mean, I pronounced it totally wrong. So, Kate Sith is probably a bit closer than what I was. I used to say cat sit.
I was kind of hopping between cat sit and Kate Sit. It's
yeah. But anyway, so it's interesting that's what it is, because some people were wondering, like, is it going to be Ketchi, which apparently is the cultural pronunciation of that creature. In terms of in the Scottish or Celtic mythology, that's how you actually say it. You say Ketchi, apparently. So some people were like, "That's how you're supposed to pronounce it."
Yeah, I'm wondering though if it's spelled different though, because that spelling
it could be, yeah, right.
Dipping into our own kind of like, I know there is a difference between Irish Celtic and Scottish Celtic, but still that spelling doesn't look very familiar.
No, right, yeah. Look, I don't know anything about it, but interesting to know that ahead of time before we even get to, because I actually thought we wouldn't know till we hear someone say the fucking name, But actually, a recent game, I when I finished Final Fantasy 16, I enjoyed the game, I enjoyed the experience, but I had an itch for a kind of party-based Final Fantasy game, like old school Final Fantasy. So I went and I started playing Final Fantasy 16, and I had a great time, or 6, I mean, and I had a great time with that. But I was looking for something that captures that feeling with a more modern edge, and I just recently finished Sea of Stars, and that absolutely scratched that itch. That I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. Like strategy, your party, you swap them in and out. It's turn based. You travel the world. There's lots of lore. There's multiple times you think, oh, I must be gearing to the end of the game, and then it goes, oh wait, the game has only started. Oh, you just left Midgar, and like it's way bigger than you thought it was going to be, So that really scratched that itch, and I've recorded a review for it, and it's up on the YouTube channel now and on the audio platform, so do check that out. But that is a game that comes to mind in recent memory that like was sort of scratching that itch of like, where is this? I'm looking for that. I'm trying to think of ones further back though, that because I remember as well playing Mass Effect 2, and then when I played Mass Effect 2, which was like I just one of my fondest gaming memories ever. I spent a long time looking for something like that. That I have to say, maybe that's more the second half of the conversation. That's one I have never. I've yet to find a game that does for me what Mass Effect 2 did. There's plenty, and people will go, "Oh, you should play Dragon Age Inquisition, or you should play these games or those games." And it's like, no. They don't do what Mass Effect 2 did. I have yet to come across one that does what Mass Effect 2 actually captures.
Yeah, because I've had myself with certain, not specific of Mass Effect. Mass Effect was that did scratch an itch I didn't know needed scratching, whereas just that kind of RPG.
Sorry,
sci-fi.
I was itching and scratch. I realized I said it too much, and then hearing you say it back, I'm like, yeah, this is weird phrasing actually, but I know what you mean.
No. We're scratching the shit out of our STIs.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so that was one as well, where it was like this sci-fi RPG, and I was like, this is amazing, and that actually inspired me to be like, I want to do like a D&D set in sci-fi, because it's just not really it is a thing that exists, but it's not quite popularized as much as D&D is. So that's always like kind of been a plan for me. I'm working on it for years. So yeah, that was awesome, Mass Effect, and yeah, it's just not. I have Dragon Age Inquisition. I cleared it. It's just not the same as Mass Effect. It's just
It's not. It's not the
no.
same. It's not the same. It's a different feeling. I don't know what
Yeah,
it is.
I
Because
have
it's not
actually.
just like a. Well, go on.
I have a couple
Oh,
of games that I thought would scratch the itch, but didn't.
Ooh.
going the other way.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
most of the games
Yeah.
that I ended up falling in love with were ones that actually I didn't expect much from at all.
Mm,
The Last of Us actually being one of them. I actually thought that was going to be not great, and I thought it was being overhyped just because it
right.
was from the studio, that kind of thing.
Mm,
So that surprised the hell out of me.
mm.
Then the Batman game, Arkham Asylum, it's just absolutely incredible. Actually, both of
Surprised.
those games, right? The Last of Us and Arkham Asylum. Last of Us is basically Metal Gear Solid with zombies, and Arkham Asylum is basically Metal Gear Solid with Batman. Like, it's that formula. I just fucking love that shit.
They absolutely should have put that on the cover as well, because sounds like the most amazing game ever. Metal Gear Solid, but you're Batman.
Yeah, but that is Arkham Asylum. Like,
Oh,
It is, yeah.
100% it is.
Yeah.
I actually, funny that you mentioned that. I was listening back to, and this will lead into like the latter half of the conversation too. But when because we were obviously talking about Metal Gear Solid in our last episode, and it got super nostalgic, and I went back and listened to our discussion of the first Metal Gear Solid game.
right.
I mean, our quality was different then. We had a different format, but the discussion itself was really fun to listen back to. And we did spend a chunk of that talking about Arkham Asylum, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Because,
there are similarities
the
to make there.
parallels are so much, yeah, there, like, yeah. Yeah.
But Ghost of Tsushima, that's one as well where it's like everything about that game is what I'm all about. But I was not convinced by it. I was kind of going in as a skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
So nearly all the games I fall in love with, I'm like, I don't know. But there has been a few games where I'm like, this is what I want, and it just didn't do what I wanted at all.
Yeah, like what? Well, like what comes to mind?
Well, there's Assassin's Creed being one of them.
Interesting.
Like
And we just got it.
literally any.
We just
of
got
them.
a new one, right? We just
Yeah.
got a new one.
Just Mirage, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally any of them.
Right.
They just didn't really live up to what I was really hoping for. I love the idea of that. It doesn't matter being assassin or not, but if you want to take that road, that's grand. But being in these historical contexts and reliving these moments, like the one Assassin's Creed 3, like I just think that's such an interesting time period to be in, and being a Native American during that period would be absolutely amazing. But it's like, why are there space aliens and shit? It's just like, what's going on?
Right.
So that stuff, it just disappoints then. Then there's moments where I'm like, oh, this is the type of game I'm really looking for, and then when I come across it, it's just like, it's not quite doing it for me. Starfield is one actually where I was really hoping that would be the Skyrim of this generation, and it's got all the things I really, the NASA punk aesthetic that they've gone for is like it's that kind of interstellar Prometheus alien. It's got that aesthetic that I really, really like.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it hasn't gripped me like at all. I know some people are loving it, but it just hasn't done it for me. Red Dead 2, after coming off of Red Dead 1, I'm just like, that was an incredible game. I really wasn't expecting that to be that good. Didn't live up to it. Grand Theft Auto 5, really wanting to go back to San Andreas because that was a fucking amazing time playing San Andreas. GTA 5 just didn't live up to it. So I actually am still searching for a game that can really bring me back to some of those moments that I had when I was younger playing games. Everything is kind of, I would say, the end of the PS3 360 era with the likes of the Uncharted series and Last of Us and Tomb Raider. Those were the last few moments for me where I was like, those were really, really great gaming experiences. But there's only so many of them that you can do before that becomes tiring, because Last of Us Part 2 you know. So I'm still searching, I think.
Oh man, thanks.
Yeah.
Sad.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
What a bummer. You know, a couple of weeks ago you said he was excited for games again, but not right now.
I was, and then some of those games came out.
Yeah, right. I hear you. Yeah, it's funny one on the Starfield. Yeah, I haven't gone back to it actually.
Yeah.
Sure, I will at some point, but I mean, other games were just like, I was like, I've Sea of Stars here. Why would I put on Starfield? Like, this is way more exciting. I have literally no intention of.
Yeah, Starfield. I was looking forward to when I first had it announced, because this was back in like Skyrim is still the greatest thing ever, and it's been released on everything when that was announced, and I was like, brilliant. We're going to get Bethesda's version of Mass Effect, because Mass Effect was now finished. Right, and I wanted more of that, and Starfield announced, and what I was hoping for more so was Skyrim in space. So choosing the multiple races and having, and then when I saw more of it, I was like, oh no, it's actually Fallout in space, and I don't think Fallout is as quite interesting. And then it only being released on Xbox made the decision to not get it much easier. I was like, don't have an Xbox, so I was like, all right, Grant, I don't get Starfield then.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy decision to make in that case, because it's like if I have to decide whether I'm getting a game for the Switch or not. It's like, well, I don't have one, so that's pretty easy actually. I'll miss out. So actually, just to jump off something Adam was saying, where saying certain games surprised him. What game do you think surprised you the most? Like, and I mean ever. Like, what comes to mind as a game where it's like, that really surprised me? That's way in a good way.
In a good way, okay.
Yeah. In a good way. Like, what game pleasantly surprised you the most, do you think?
There are a few games popping into the head. Like, I mean, Infinity Blade.
Fuck
give that a shout out.
Fuck yeah.
That's probably going to pop up again in the latter half of this conversation.
I love it. Yeah.
XCOM. I mean, I just got that with PlayStation Plus. So I was playing that. I was thinking this was a load of crap but for some reason there was something about it that kept drawing me back. And then I watched a video that had something. It showed like a collection, like a compilation video of like interrogating all the different aliens. And I was like, wait, you can do that? Like, you can interrogate all the aliens? And then I did that, and I was getting benefits from it. And then I was kind of looking at it going, wait a minute, I think I'm like wasting resources in areas. So I started to be a bit smarter. I'm sure then I just fell in love with XCOM, pre-ordered XCOM 2, fucking fell in love with that. Got all the DLC to XCOM 2. So that was one that pleasantly surprised. Spec Ops The Line, I think, again, that was a lot of PlayStation Plus games, to be honest. You know, you just kind of download. I suppose
because they're ones that you weren't keeping an eye on, like you weren't already getting them. So you're like, I'll just try it. Like, it's free, I'll try it. So there's a good chance that is going to surprise you.
Yeah, like I think there was that month a couple of years ago where For Honor and Hitman came out in the 1 month. And to me, that was actually the best month of PlayStation Plus, because I didn't have either one of those games, and both of those games surprisingly were very good and very addictive and fun to play.
Okay, I didn't know you played For Honor. I knew you played Hitman. I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I played because we did the time thing. I think For Honor was like number 5 on my list, and I had to explain
what like most time you put into the game. Yeah. You never mention it.
I did, and you talked to me. No,
I don't mean. What I mean is, like, generally, you never mention it.
I actually have
for a game that you put so much time into. You never bring it up.
I actually, well, not a podcast. This is probably the second time I brought it up in podcast, but
that's what I mean. Like,
I've definitely mentioned it to you.
Wow.
That is a game that actually in again was a surprising way that it scratched an itch that I didn't realize, because you had just knights, Vikings, and samurai. So it's like if I'm in the mood for doing like Kingdom of Heaven, I'll just play as a knight. Or if I'm in the mood for playing God of War, but it hasn't come out yet, there's Vikings. Or if I'm in the mood for Ghost of Tsushima that hasn't come out yet, oh, there's samurai. And then they released more heroes and factions and stuff. But yeah, that was a really fun game. And then Hitman was just fun because it was just a sandbox of how do you kill people in the most creative way possible.
Yeah, I've seen so many videos of the way people play Hitman. It's so weird. I who was the video I was watching of the guy? It might have been Video Game Donkey, and he was just piling everyone into one room, and lots of bananas. But he was throwing bananas at people. I don't know.
Everything's a weapon.
Everything is a weapon. You can pick up anything and just throw it.
Nearly, yeah.
Wow.
So you can actually you can knock people out with fish. Just pick up a fish and throw it at them. Pick up a frying pan, throw it at them. Pick up a brick, throw it at them.
I wonder, because that's the same studio doing the James Bond game, right?
Is it? Yes, I think it is. So I hope it's a little bit like that, because that would be so fun.
I wonder what they're going to do with it. Yeah, I don't know if I want it to like Hitman, actually.
No.
Not exactly.
I actually don't know what I would want from a James Bond game, actually.
I'm not saying exactly like Hitman, but I'm thinking if you did have a bit of a sandbox element to it, to put you into the shoes of 007, that now you have these gadgets, and how do you go about...
And an infinite bank card.
And an infinite bank card. You know, so you can choose if you want to, if you're at a gala, to go up and order the shake and not stirred thing. Right.
Yeah.
You choose to do that, and you choose to use particular gadgets and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
I get you. Yeah, maybe within certain locations. I feel like overall as a game, it needs to be more like an Uncharted, though. Like a globe-trotting adventure. I don't mean
I get
copy-paste Uncharted's game. I just mean like it's like chapter-based, as opposed to you're just in one sandbox location for the game. I wouldn't do it like that.
Oh, no. But Hitman is chapter-based. You go to different locations, and then in each location, it's like a sandbox.
Oh, okay.
But what I would do is some areas are sandbox, and other areas are less
more linear.
Open linear, sort of. So, like, when you're in the jungles of wherever, that's more open linear, and you can start scaling up walls and stuff. But then when you're at the Met Gala, it's a little bit more sandboxy, and there we kind of do a blend of both, maybe. I don't know.
I think one of the hardest properties to try and bring across from screen to game, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think we teased possible, like if Mission Impossible was being a game, I think that would be easy, and the Hitman formula would work incredibly well there. But I think it's because with Bond, it's really difficult to make a Bond game without it just becoming a shooter. But that's actually not really,
Bond.
Yeah, I obviously he shoots, but that's not really what makes him interesting. It's espionage. It's the poker playing. It's like it's all kinds of stuff. I think it'd be very difficult to balance all that.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, like, do you think IO? I mean, they could really, absolutely surprise everyone, right? They could make an incredible game. They're certainly talented. No one's saying they're not. But is it the studio you would pick to do a James Bond game? And if not, what studio out there would you pick to do a James Bond game?
Ooh, that's a toughie.
I probably wouldn't pick them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against them doing it.
Yeah.
But if I was to pick another studio, Blue Point could be good. That'd be interesting. Because again, just letting them not do a remake to see what they
Right.
do.
What will you do? But you still have some guidelines because it's an IP.
Yeah.
Like you still have, right. Gotcha.
That could be interesting. Or Guerrilla Games or Sucker Punch.
Yeah, I'd pick Sucker Punch.
I think I would pick Rocksteady. And
interesting.
I would try to get them to go back to how you approached Arkham Asylum, and I don't mean that doesn't mean give it Arkham Asylum gameplay, right? Before anyone thinks that, I just mean like think about designing the game around the character. Now go do that, and stop making Suicide Squad. Just get off that project altogether. Obviously, look at that's more of a Warner Brothers thing anyway. But I just think them being with what they did do with Batman, they are a very talented studio in terms of like meshing character and gameplay. But they're a British studio. I think that they, I think it'd be interesting to see Bond brought to life from a British studio. He's a British character. But yeah, that's one I'd probably pick. Adam, what game surprised you the most?
What Eric just said, the PS Plus game. What's it called?
Spec Ops: The Line.
Spec Ops, yeah, that was a huge surprise. Wow. As well as Mad Max. Mad Max was a game. Yeah. Mad Max was a game where it's like, I wasn't even gonna consider it, and I think I downloaded it, but I never even played it. I think I saw you, Eric, play it for a bit, and then I was like, okay, that actually looks pretty good. I'll give that a go. I was hooked. I don't even think I completed the game, like the main story. That is, I just did absolutely everything else.
Wow.
Like if I just finish the story, I've 100% of the game. Pretty much, because I've done everything else in it. It was just driving around the wasteland and stuff like that was just so much fun, and their combat was pretty good in that. So that was a huge surprise. But another surprise was a game that I was kind of looking forward to, but only because I felt like it would just be just good crack, as opposed to, oh yeah, like this is going to be incredible, right? It was just like the formula of it was just like, okay, that type of game, it's easy to play, it's easy to get into, it'll probably be fun. Until Dawn, that actually surprised the fucking hell out of me. That actually turned out to be an incredibly good game. Not necessarily from a gameplay perspective, but it just balanced the tropes. It was like if the approach of Stranger Things as a TV show, but like do it as a game, right? It's like all these influences just blended together so well, but managed to create their own mythology at the same time. Really surprised there hasn't been a follow-up to that, but Until Dawn, what a surprise, that one.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like that studio have obviously done a lot of games since. Like they've done ridiculous amount of games since. But none of them have been like to the same quality. I don't know what it is. They just haven't. They haven't like hit that same. They haven't recaptured lightning in a bottle. And with Until Dawn, I don't know how they did it. It was fucking It is an amazing game. I that was recommended to me. Down in we had an Extra Vision a long time ago in town, and I used to go in and look at what I might rent or what I might pick up. And I remember we had seen obviously Until Dawn the trailers, in like a PlayStation event or E3 or something like that, and it was like, oh okay, yeah, whatever. Looks like just a slasher horror game, like not all that interesting. And I remember seeing the cover, and I thought the cover art looked so cool. Like it's really cool cover art. And I remember asking the guy behind the counter there at the time, because I used to kind of talk to him every so often about various games and things. I was like, do you know if that's any good? And he was like, actually, it's brilliant. It's really good. I highly recommend it. So picked it up. That was that. Yeah, it's fucking fantastic.
Good thing he wasn't just doing that to like get a sale or something like that.
He meant it. I think it's because as well, because I'd spoken to him other times about like other games, I knew he meant it. You know what I mean? Because there was other times like, oh man, don't. It's that shit. Like it wasn't just a. Yeah, no, buy that. Yeah, do. Like, I mean, the money's not going into his fucking pocket. You know,
not anymore.
No, definitely not anymore. Extravision's gone. But yeah, Until Dawn, that was very surprising. I think I mentioned Mass Effect 2 earlier. I wasn't expecting much from it, and I just said I'd throw it on, and then was hooked. Absolutely hooked. And like, all day, go to bed, get up in the morning, straight back onto it. all day. You know what I mean? Like it was just amazing.
Hmm.
Another one though, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare.
Oh yeah,
the original one, not the remake one.
Well, it's Call of Duty 4. Yeah, I hated first-person shooters. Hated them. Because I sucked at them, and I fucking shit at moving the camera. So I think it's because I was so used to playing games where you didn't have control of the camera. So because in a first-person shooter, obviously you've control of the camera and the movement. I didn't grasp moving them both at the same time.
Now, to be fair, first-person shooters prior to that weren't great for camera movement and shit. You know, it took a while before, because you always had to like shoot with like one of the face buttons. It was never really the shoulder buttons, so you have to take your thumb off the stick to shoot and stuff like that. They were never great.
No, and so I famously hated them, and I remember like giving a couple of them a go, and like always getting stuck in corridors and spinning in circles, going, all I can see is grey, and as actually my character's pointing at the ceiling, and I don't even realize it. Like I was so bad at them. And I also thought that they just didn't capture any kind of cinematic flair that I was always looking for from games. Like, I mean, I loved Metal Gear Solid, and I loved Final Fantasy, and I loved, at the times, I like Devil May Cry, and these always they felt like I was playing movies, they felt like I was playing blockbusters, and the first-person shooters didn't have that feeling at all. And then Modern Warfare was I was like, whatever, another first-person shooter, I'll try it, everyone's talking about it. I expected nothing from it. And straight away from just that tanker mission you do at the start, and then that's like gonna sink, and they're like, get up off your ass, and you're running trying to get out of there, and I was like, wow, that was amazing. And then it just keeps going, and even like having you play as the president and from his point of view, and then him getting killed on live television, you're like, I've never seen that before. Wait, that wasn't even a mission, that was just a interactive experience. That could have been a cutscene, but they put me in it. Fucking that game is just incredible, and it just changed. Then I was like, oh, first-person shooters could be great. And there was a period where I got sick of them after a while, but there was a period where it was like they were really exciting, immersive experiences. There
was a lot of innovation in that period with a lot of those games. Obviously, there was innovation before that. If it wasn't for Halo, we wouldn't have gotten to that point, and so on.
No, absolutely.
But I do think that COD 4, it actually inspired games even outside the first-person genre. Like we wouldn't have had Uncharted if it wasn't for COD 4. They straight up said that, the developers.
Did they?
Yeah, there was especially one of the ones when they're talking about Uncharted 2 and stuff like that. They were heavily inspired by the cinematics, like how they could actually make a more cinematic experience by playing COD 4. They're like, there we go, like we can recapture that.
Do that.
And BioShock as well. BioShock was so different than other first-person shooter games at the time as well. There was a lot of innovation that time period.
Yeah, in a big way. And like it's not just COD 4. Like the Modern Warfare 2 was another one. The first Black Ops, really played around with, it's like, oh, you can tell like kind of an immersive story with first person as well. It doesn't just have to be big bombs and explosions. Like, because that was a bit more toned down in that regard, but then you get like the big twist, and you're like, what the fuck? And not because like, oh, that's the most mind-bending twist ever, but it's because it's like, this is a Call of Duty game. I'm not expecting any twist. So you've caught me off guard, with this twist. If I was playing a game by Kojima, I'd be like, yeah, I saw that coming, because I'm expecting.
Do you think Black Ops was the last great Call of Duty?
I don't know, because it's the last one where I was invested. I totally lost interest, but I haven't played the others, so it's possible that like maybe they're amazing and people are like, no, you're missing out. Because like to say based on the trailers that, oh no, they're not good, like I can't actually speak to that.
Well, you played Modern Warfare 3, right?
Yeah, like that's where I lost interest, because I didn't enjoy that one, but I can't speak for all the other.
I think I tried a few of the other
Battlefield games.
Black Ops ones.
Black Ops 2 was surprising just in the fact that they now introduced or for that game, they introduced choice based, but it wasn't like choose this dialogue or choose that dialogue. It was genuinely like decisions you make in split second moments could actually change. Like there was a car chase that you actually genuinely do, which is very good. And at one point, this pipe explodes and all this fire comes out. And if you don't dodge it, your partner's face gets burned. So for the rest of the campaign, the half of his face is scarred. But if you actually drive out of the way, it's not. There's also side missions. And if you didn't do the side missions, it would actually affect you later on. But if you did them, it'd be a positive thing. Okay. So actually, I think the first time I ever played it, I got like the worst ending. I actually got a battle. There was actually multiple endings to that one. So that was kind of interesting in that regard, but also from somewhat of it, not as awesome as Call of Duty 4 or Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, that's one of those mechanics that's like it's been done before and it's been done in that genre before, and it's like Call of Duty had something special. Does it need that to move forward?
Yeah, but I felt like as well they probably felt that they're like, we can't keep doing the one thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean with Black Ops. Did they peak with that? With their ideas?
Sure. Yeah. And with the big bombastics, like, I think like overall Modern Warfare, like the first Modern Warfare is the better game, and it's just a little bit more grounded in that. But my God, the shocks and awe of Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Yes, it gets a bit outlandish, but oh my God, I think, like maybe the most shocking death in video games since Aerith. Like it was a really shocking, out of nowhere death that was really horrible, that made me go, I want to kill him. Mm-hmm. I want to kill him so bad. And I was really invested. Like, I think Modern Warfare 2 was incredible. Like, it's really, really fucking good. Wow. Now I want to play that game again.
Yeah.
I do wonder what the new ones are like in that regard.
They're supposed to be pretty good, but different. So, I mean,
yeah, that's why I'm interested because they're supposed to be good. They look good, and what have they changed, or how much have they changed? I think it'd be interesting.
I saw the end credit scene for Modern Warfare 2. I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's a cool way of like doing it, I just it came up on YouTube as a short or something, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. So if anyone wants to see it, just type in Modern Warfare 2 end credit scene, and it's if you played the old Modern Warfare games, you'll be like, cool. Yeah, it'll be something that you understand. But anyway, I suppose then there was another part of your question, Eric, which was, what games are we missing? Or what genre are we missing? What are we not getting? Even with, our Baldur's Gate 3 and our Tears of the Kingdom and our Resident Evil remake, Spider-Man 2 is on the way. Massive, massive games. But what are we not getting? What are we missing out on? What's a series we're not getting, or a genre that we're not getting that we would love to see?
Like when you look at the whole year, you're kind of like, it's probably the first year where you're getting everything. Like, think of something. There's a game in that genre somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw as well the open beta for Modern Warfare 3 is actually it's there now. So there's your first person game. You got your Mortal Kombat for fighting. You got your Tears of the Kingdom for your open world sandbox, as well as Baldur's Gate 3 for fantasy, Dead Space, as well as Resident Evil 4, as well as Alan Wake 2 for your horror, Spider-Man 2 for your open world superhero. So yeah, you are nearly getting everything. But even at that,
is there something missing there?
Could there just be that element that it's like not quite scratching that? You're getting your samurai, your Japanese games, but it's still just not quite, it's still not hitting the nail on the head, Maybe you're getting your horror games, but you're not quite getting that horror game that you're wanting.
Well, you know what? When you said it, you got me thinking, right? And maybe maybe it's the conversation we had last week. I don't know, but I actually, and I loved so many of the games that came out this year, and we at one point had an episode where we talked maybe 2023 will be the best year in gaming. Like maybe people will look back and it'll be hard to say there's a better year because of just the chock-a-block, like so many game of the year contenders, not just there was lots of good games, like fucking huge games. Nearly too many, where it's like actually there's a bit of burnout on games. Like there seems to be something all the time. But I was like, what am I missing? And I think something along the lines of a Metal Gear Solid 1 or a Arkham Asylum or a Uncharted, where it's a tightly knit story, single player story experience that you can nearly fucking play in one go. You could nearly put it on and play all night and just finish it. And it's not, no, this game will take, and this is not me bashing the games that do, but it's like, this game will take 40 hours to finish the story, 60 to 70 hours if you're a completionist, lots and lots of side content, just a straight, narrow path that's a great, memorable experience that makes you go, the minute you finish it, you go, I want to do it again. I think maybe that's what's missing. I mean, the closest thing would be Resident Evil 4 Remake. Maybe in that regard. But even at that, there's a lot to that game too. And I think I'm missing that. I'm missing just I could finish it in a week of casual playing and go, that was great. I really enjoyed that. On to the next thing. I think that's what I'm missing. And I don't know what it would be. But no one's making it because, I mean, everyone's like, well, games are expensive nowadays and we have to justify the price. And actually, if we released a game like that, people would just go, what? I'm paying the same price for a 100-hour game as I'm paying for what you're saying, like a 10 to 12-hour game? Why the fuck would I want to do that? I was like, but the quality of the game is what I'm talking about. Like, it's got to be top tier quality.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is a 7 to 8 hour game.
No,
not really. Like you can, but it's not.
On your first playthrough, it's not.
My first
is it? Was your first playthrough that quick?
I think so. About 8 hours.
Freak of nature. I think mine was like 16 hours.
Yeah, I think that would be more realistic. Because when you come into consideration of like, oh, you're trying to figure out where to go, you're going over to like collect things and you're modifying weapons and things like that. Like
you're pausing to let your heart slow down.
I think realistically, it's about a 16-hour experience. Yeah.
Okay.
On a first playthrough again. I'm not talking about like,
but you can fly through it for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can clear it under 4 hours. I've done that.
What? So. That's fucking insane.
I've also speedrun completed several ways in under 2 hours.
Wow.
Amazing. They can be done, but like Asylum and Uncharted 1 would be about that length.
No.
Uncharted 1, yeah.
Would it?
Yeah.
That would be considered quite
Uncharted 1 would be a 12 to 15 hour experience. If you're on your first run, I would say, yeah.
Maybe.
That is
I think then like that's why Resident Evil 4 Remake so far is my favorite game this year. And I can't think of many games this year that are like that then, I suppose.
Yeah, I think
it seems to be an outlier.
What makes it special is, first of all, how quick you can play it and clear it, even with playing it in 16 hours. That's so quick today. Because I was thinking about Resident Evil 4 today. I was thinking about how, like, the fact that I'm back to playing that again.
You're always thinking about that game.
Rather than finishing Phantom Liberty or Baldur's Gate 3, I'm now doing that on professional difficulty, which is the highest one.
That's very interesting that you've like parked Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
To play Resi 4 again.
Because I think it's because of how quick you get into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Asylum was the same. You're watching one cutscene, you now have your first fight. Uncharted 1 is the same. You have your cutscene and then your first fight. And then it's just a straight road. At no point do you deviate, stop, have to do something else. You're not going back in time to when you're a child and you're like, when you're trying to do a replay, you're like, oh, this bit when I have to play as a child and I'm in this house or museum or whatever it is. Like, there's nothing to, while that's great on a first playthrough, multiple playthroughs not so good. And that's the thing about Resident Evil 2, 4, Village, Arkham Asylum, Metal Gear Solid, is that it is quick, straight into it. You play it, you enjoy it. You find out there's things to collect or unlockables. You go back and you try to get them and try to do speed runs and all that.
I think you're saying better what I maybe was trying to say, and I think it's like if you had a friend over and it's like, oh, you got to see this game. Like I actually remember, and I love Until Dawn, right? We mentioned it earlier. But I remember having a friend over and I was like, oh, you got to check out this game, and like 2 hours in, you know, he was like, so when is something actually going to happen? And I no, just wait. Like it gets into it. You gotta bear with it. And then after a while, he had to go, and we never got to that point of, do you know what I mean? Whereas with some of these other games, like if I threw on Resident Evil 4 remake, and a friend came over, like very quickly we're doing that village sequence.
Yeah,
and then that's we're a good taste of like the rest of the game, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, all right, let's stay up all night. Let's do this. Let's fucking see how far into this we get. Like I remember playing Arkham Asylum all night with a friend, where it's like we'll take turns, and you know, in the early hours of the morning we took Joker down. You know, we did all nighters on the Metal Gear Solid games as well. I have to tell you, 3 and 4 were getting difficult, but like it was like I'm getting really tired now. But with 1 and 2, it was like it's just great, you know, and we flew through it. I think that's the kind of experience that's missing. Like, cause like there's a lot of the games where I'm like, oh, like these are amazing, but actually, it takes a while to get going, and you gotta sit with it. They're more like, it's more like sit down and binge a TV show with me as opposed to let's throw on a movie. You know, I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No, I get you, because like even like Breath of the Wild, it's quite quick into, here's the world, go out, explore.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Nintendo's platform has more games that's like that, but I know what you mean. That you're not looking for a party game, you're not looking for an arcade game, you're looking for what would be a cinematic experience, but gets on with it, and it's doable within a short period of time, and it offers a replay value to revisit it.
Yeah,
because the Nintendo platform would have a lot of games that you can just jump in and play, of course. But
but I'm not talking about like a Mario Kart or something like that, where of course, you could just try down and say, let's have a laugh. I'm talking about, it's like you need to experience this game, but there's got to be no like, so like when does it get going? It's like, no, bear with me though. Like, bear with me. This is gonna get insane.
Yeah, like the opening to The Last of Us, basically. It's that like, here, if you experience this, you kind of get this game, basically. You understand what's coming up. Yeah.
That's the thing. I find that actually the PS3 era was really good for balancing lots of types of games.
Right.
In that most of them, you're quick into just getting into it and playing the game, while still giving that cinematic experience. PS4 seemed to have focused more on the storytelling aspect and the like experience, but then lacked on this is still a game that people would want to play and have fun with. And now PS5, I think we're starting to get back around to that, where it's like,
well, it's just, see, I have this feeling that like every game now, and again, this is not actually a dig at the games, because most of them, and even ones that are coming, I'm really excited for. But it's like, it's just an expectation that they need to be open world. They have to be open world. People are expecting that now. We have to have side content. It's an expectation in the industry. You cannot be putting out a, AAA game at full price if you're not gonna, fill it with hundreds and hundreds of hours of content. And it's like, oh, another big game,
Can I throw a theory at you?
Yeah, do it.
So with the, I'd agree with what Eric was saying there. I actually do think that the PS3 360 era actually did have some of the best game design and pacing in games.
Right.
And just as Eric was saying there about the way the Xbox One and PS4 era seems to be focusing more on the storytelling aspects, I'm wondering, are they in that period? They were exploring that a little bit in the PS3 360 era, but this was an opportunity for them to kind of practice that a bit more, stretch that muscle. But are they now competing with streaming services? Because remember, this is the entertainment industry, and they're fighting for attention. So are they, is the rise of the Netflix originals, is that now a competitor in that space? So you need to be offering almost TV show level quality and long experiences that are going to hold your attention. And now coming into this generation, PS5 and series consoles, I wonder, are they now competing with the likes of, not for everything obviously, but some of the games that we're talking about there, Dungeons and Dragons. Like the rise of the tabletop RPG with the endless possibilities and just a huge world to explore. Do they now have to offer that in all these games because that's their competitor?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because there is a huge limitation when you think about, like, going back to game design. It's so clear that the likes of tabletop RPGs, that is the fundamentals of game design. But you're 100%. Absolutely limited in game design by the choices you make. Like, we just have to look at the Elder Scrolls. The reason people loved Oblivion over Skyrim so much was not the polishedness of it. Like, I prefer Skyrim because it is that little bit more polished.
Yeah.
But Oblivion gave you way more choice. The more polished in the experience, less choice. And you're moving away from that tabletop RPG. Now, that's kind of fine and all, but since the pandemic, like, Dungeons and Dragons has made a huge return.
Yeah.
Are they now finding that to be a new a competitor again? And considering that's now something that can be streamed on Twitch, the same platforms that we see, which is probably why Baldur's Gate is, it's
such a hit, right?
Apart from it being a good game, but it's just that's scratching the itch for many others.
Yeah, that's a game where you can find yourself after playing Dungeons and Dragons, The One Ring, the battle strategy game from Middle Earth or Warhammer 40k. You do find yourself sometimes you come back and you go, I want to play again. And I suppose Baldur's Gate 3 is that thing of you just came back from a session, maybe it's 2 days later, you have that itch. I can just slap Baldur's Gate 3 on, just play a bit of that. So maybe that's a competitor. That's why they're making games. Well, no, I think PS4 was the start of the big open world hundreds, because that's I think PS4 was when you had pretty much Ubisoft coming out going, here's the next Assassin's Creed. It's got the biggest map we've ever done. It's got hundreds of everything. And you play it, they're all fetch quests.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of started on the PS3 360 era, and it's like, every game suffers that, isn't it? It's like, well, how do we need to make a bigger, badder, bolder?
We have to go bigger, right?
It's
Everything
like,
has to look
at the Marvel movies, or even the Transformers movies, right? They start off like these kind of more tight-knit experiences, and it's just like, just becomes ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I think it makes sense, right? Of course, if you're a studio, you want to go bigger. Like, and this is not to say like, oh, they need to stop making open world games. Definitely not. No, keep making them. What I'm missing as a player, though, is for someone to come along and for a developer to go, actually, I want to make a tight knit experience that is just like every scene is pivotal and you're supposed to experience every scene without having to pour in hundreds of hours. I think that's what I'm missing. But I don't know what that is. Like, maybe it's going to be the maybe it's going to be the Indiana Jones game that's being developed.
Mm.
Maybe that's going to be that. Maybe it's going to be like the playable movie. It's longer than a movie, but it's just like a playable movie experience. It's an adventure, and every sequence, and you play through a sequence, and they don't repeat that sequence. It was like that was just like a highlight. I can't wait to play that again.
Mm-hmm.
So when I roll credits, I go, I want to play that whole adventure again. Like do you know what? Like I remember playing Jedi Survivor this year.
I was actually,
right?
As you were talking, I was just thinking about Jedi Survivor. Yeah.
Jedi Survivor is one of those games that I think I wish was what I'm talking about, where it has a big open world and all this stuff and all these side quests and all these things you can do and great. But I'm like, actually, all of I would play this again if it was just a 10 to 12 hour game of the highlights, which are like the key parts of the story. And some of that shit is like the coolest shit I played this year. But I would dread turning that on again to start from the beginning, because it's going to take so fucking long to get to those bits. That's one where I'd be like, if a friend came over, is like, so when does this get to the bit you're talking about? And I'm like, oh, not for we got days to go till we get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a pity
that's one. Yeah,
because we have Star Wars Outlaws, which is an open world Star Wars game. And it's like, where's our Star Wars 1313?
Yeah. Where it's just the streamlined, like you're playing a Star Wars movie as opposed to you're playing a Star Wars TV show, maybe. Yeah, I think those kind of experiences, you know, like I'm looking forward to Spider-Man 2 is right around the corner, but again, it's going to be another big open world game with lots of shit to do. But that makes sense for that. I'm not saying don't do that. For Spider-Man, that makes sense because you're swinging around the city. You're the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That makes sense. But yeah, I don't know if it's a specific genre or series I'm looking for, though. I think it's just a...
You're just looking for Metal Gear Solid. Just say it. Do you want Metal Gear Solid remade?
I want Metal Gear Solid. Okay, fine. You twisted my arm. I want Metal Gear Solid. Or I want another Uncharted. Or I want another... Yeah, I want something like that. I think. That's what I'd like to play. That's what I'd like to play tomorrow. A game like that. Where this time next week I'll be able to say, yeah, I finished that. That was fucking brilliant. Rather than it's like, I'm still playing that. You know, and then a month later it's like, yeah, no, I still haven't finished it. I'm getting around to it though. Like, I'm chipping away at it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've become far more like completionist mindset. So
Okay.
Those games that are like over hours, like over 100 hours long, it's like, oh, but I want to do everything.
It's funny though, because like then there's some games that I never want to end. You know, it's the opposite thing. But I don't know. Adam, is there anything that you're looking for that gaming isn't giving you?
I don't know. There are a couple of games where I'm surprised there hasn't been a follow-up or another one.
Right.
Like Alien Isolation. Isn't it weird that we haven't gotten a sequel to Alien Isolation? I haven't actually completed that, so I don't know how that would end in relation to how a sequel would work. But I just mean like another one in the series with an advancement on that mechanic. That's a game that I didn't complete it because, similar to what you're saying, Chris, it's just that's too long. That's almost too long for that type of experience. That needs to be a shorter experience. With maybe more options, so that when you do it the second time, you could try something else, and you know, that kind of a thing.
I just for a second there, I think most people who play and love that game have not finished it. I bet you the completion rate on that game is very little. Maybe. Same with because like earlier this year, Hi-Fi Rush came out and everyone was gushing about it, and people were saying, "Oh, that's one of the games of the year," right? I was listening to someone the other day who said they looked up the completion rate of Hi-Fi Rush. It's very low. Like, he finished it, and it's like rare achievement, and it's like, so why is everyone gushing about it? Like, fuck all the people who've actually finished the game. Same, I finished Sea of Stars. People are like crazy about Sea of Stars. Yeah. Every achievement I got in the latter half of that game was rare.
I think though,
people just aren't finishing games anymore.
But no, people were never finishing games. That's not new.
Okay.
That was a discussion again. I think it was the same. This was with it was Retro Replay at the time. They had one of the developers of Uncharted 2 on, And one of the difficulties that they were talking about, was it them or maybe it was someone from COD? I can't remember, but they had a developer on and he was saying one of the biggest difficulties is, of course, you're putting all this work into a game that most people will never actually get around to finishing it. People really finish maybe 70% of the game and then they go off. So that's always been there. That's not. I have now joined that crew. So I never understood that as to why would you start a game and not complete it. But as life is getting busier, I absolutely understand that. It's
right?
Just,
yeah.
And also, it's just like not like when you were talking about Mass Effect 2, where you were saying about you're playing a game. And you play it late at night, and then the very next morning you're like turning it on, you're wanting to play it again. I can't remember the last time I experienced that feeling. Maybe
right.
No, I don't know. I don't know when the last time I experienced that. So I'm just not. I'm not getting that kind of feeling anymore from games. But I don't know whether that's like anything that the games need to offer, or that's just me. That's me moving away now. That could just be that, you know. But it's okay. I'm okay with that. Like I feel like I've experienced enough of the games this year to get a good sense of them, and I can kind of tell like which will be the standouts of the year. But yeah, that's. But I think with Alien Isolation in particular, that is an experience I think just overstays its welcome a bit. I think it needs to get on with it. Because I played some of the DLC moments, which are actually just more of it's just a mission, and you just complete that. I think that's actually much more engaging than the full story. So I think there's improvements to be made there. And I'm just surprised there hasn't been a new one.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially for VR.
And it did really well, right? Like everyone had high praise for that game, I think.
As far as Alien games go, it must be the best one. Like I can't imagine there being a better Alien game.
No, yeah, it was actually like the films in a way. You know, it was nothing like just.
You felt why don't you getting absolutely destroyed?
Well, why don't you play as the alien in first person, and it's a first person shooter where you play as a xenomorph? Like, that's fucking nuts. That's absolutely crazy. Who would fucking decide that? That's the most ridiculous concept for a game based on the Alien franchise I ever fucking heard. So Alien Isolation is like, oh, you play as the helpless human who's trying to hide from the alien on the haunted ship? Yes.
Perfect.
That's Alien. That's correct.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I'd say the next thing they'll probably do is actually probably like a Dead by Daylight, but with Alien. So you have 4 guys.
Oh, well.
I think I would like...
probably.
I think what I would like to see from the Alien series is more the Bioshock style approach. You know, like the very first Bioshock, where you're on Rapture and you do come across people that kind of want to help you and things like that, and it's like little missions, and not necessarily be this indestructible xenomorph that's after you constantly all the time.
Right.
Allow there to be moments of like the kind of the exploration and world building. Other threats. I know there's androids in it too, but I think even scared people is like that in itself is really, really interesting. Bringing in some of the alien tree kind of feel in there as well, where you have other people that's a bit untrustworthy. But yeah, I think because Bioshock, the first one, that had such an uneasiness about it, and you're learning about the world as well. And then of course you had the almost indestructible Big Daddies.
I know this is a series you didn't particularly like, Adam, but I actually think Telltale could make a really good Alien game where you have a crew of people and you're making the choices as to who's going to make it out alive or not, and some of those choices are difficult choices about quarantining people and turning against people, and maybe you don't know who has the alien in them, and you know,
but I think you could live
too.
that out through actual gameplay.
Yeah, sure.
I raise you one better.
Go on.
That, or whatever, right? A game of paranoia, but it's The Thing.
Yeah, that would work too. Is there a game? Does that game exist?
Yeah, The Thing. I don't know if like that, but there is a game of The Thing. Yeah.
I
It
just think
must
that'd be
be
really
like that, right?
that'd actually be a really interesting party game, actually.
There's Among Us.
Oh yeah,
Or
That's what Among Us is.
was it Hidden
that
Agenda?
is a fun. That was a fun game.
Among Us is fun. Among Us is fun. Eric,
Yeah.
since you brought up this topic, and I know you kind of added to what I was saying earlier as well, but is there a game, a genre, something that you're missing that you want?
Yes,
Go on.
Infinity Blade. Bring it up. This is the whole thing. Just build up to this. It was all just an agenda.
It's Eric's starting a new hashtag campaign. He wants you to join him. Hashtag re-release Infinity Blade. Bring it back.
Yes, I mean that would be awesome. That would, like, you just know how I would like. I would jump out of my seat if that would be anything.
Yeah.
I like, it is coming out, but I want more stuff on Mass Effect 4.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
when I saw that, like, that was another thing. Like, when I saw that was announced, and then seeing stuff for Starfield, I was much more like, well, I don't need Starfield because Mass Effect 4 is coming out. For Honor, no, not For Honor, The Order 1886. I'd love for them to
You
release.
want-
Yeah, I
sequel?
don't understand how that's never. Well, I do understand, but it's just unfair. It's unfair that there's never been a
You
sequel.
know what though? But that's the kind of game I'm talking about though, where it's like you could play that in one night, right?
Oh yeah.
It doesn't have to be one night either though. But like if you started that tonight, by next week you'll likely have that done, right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Which would be no different than Resident Evil 4 remake. So I don't understand why the Resident Evil games are kind of getting away with it.
I think it's because of the amount you can do in them, right?
Well,
Gameplay is more compelling too.
Yes, the game is a bit more compelling. The area is a bit more open, so you could mess around in one area for 10 hours and whatever. But I think they could add on to that in the next.
Oh yeah, they
game.
could really fix every single problem that people had with those games for sure. There's a beauty there. There's something special there that they could have built a great series out of.
Yeah, so that is a game where I find it quite unfortunate that it's
So that's a good shout.
That it's just buried, because yes, you can get it done in a week, but it is a very good experience. It was a lot longer than I was thinking it was.
Same, yeah. I thought it was fairly well paced, actually.
Yeah, I kept thinking to myself, oh, it must be near the end because I heard this was really short, and then it kept going, and I was like, oh, this is actually a decent length game. This is actually what I needed at the time because I was only playing at the weekends.
Yeah, I think it was an 8
college.
I think it's like an 8 to 9 hour experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. I need to go play The Order 1886. Actually, I've never played it.
I'd recommend. Yeah.
There's actually
genuinely
there's one bit. I'm sure it's cheap enough. Like,
I don't know. I've been kind of waiting because I've been wanting to get it, and I've never really. If it has been on sale, I've missed it, but I've never seen it below €35.
Wow, I've seen it at €5 one time.
God damn it! You need to let me know.
early days when I actually had it. I think it was. So it must have shot up. Maybe it shot up in price. So people started buying it again or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know, but there's genuinely one shot in it where it's a shot of a green glass bottle, and every time I see it, I'm like, that has to be real. That has to be genuinely real. Like, they just superimposed a real shot right there. That is.
It was the best graphics on that. That
generation.
Yeah. And
that's
the
amazing.
Performances are really good. Like, they're very, very good. It's just
Why does the game get so much shit?
Well, I think if you played it, you'd probably see the flaws. Like, you'd understand.
Right. Okay.
Like, if this was being hyped up to be, let's say, the Gears of War of that series or of that platform, and the price of it being, I think it was £70 at the time, and it was a lot of hype around it.
Yeah.
The gameplay really was not up to scratch at all. I think it's fine, But I think I probably would have been pissed off too if it was. It was just the price of it and the hype around it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird enough though that it's one of those things where people kind of latched onto one issue that people brought up. Like the gameplay, it has lots of elements of different games, but doesn't fully. It's not the best version of that. So the cover shoot from Gears did it better. There's climbing mechanic in it, but there's a load of other games.
So it's a jack of all trades, master of none.
It's sort of, yes.
Yeah.
But no one latched onto that. Everyone just latched onto the length of the game. But I think again that comes from the fact that we were in an era of every game is 60 hours, loads of content. So everyone was expecting that from games nowadays.
Yeah.
So I think that's why everyone sort of latched onto that when there are other issues.
But I think it's probably because that's the length of the game, I think, is actually fine from a story perspective. It's the moments in it, they're so short. Like the actual combat and stuff like that, that's really, really short. There's like fuck all enemies in it, really. So you end up storming past moments, unlike games like Uncharted, which actually you could clear it in the same amount of time, but some of those conflicts could end up drawing it out longer than it kind of needs to be. So you almost feel like you're getting more of an experience out of it. So I think the issue of the time still comes down to the gameplay.
Yeah, I wouldn't want people to take from this conversation that
I do
that we hate long games with side content and open worlds, because that's not true, and there's many of those that we love.
Well, I mean, like Rebirth is said to be
hours. Like, and it's
give me all the hours for that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be the best game ever. But so it's not to say that that means that's bad. It's just to say that there's maybe a gap or there's something kind of missing to go as well as, not instead of.
I also think
that's what I'm.
Yeah, I think there's also a level of like, so I just said there, give me 150 hours of Final Fantasy, right? There's a level of like commitment to a lot of these really, really large games, and if you're not like a super fan, if you're only wanting to check it out, that's way too much time. It's almost the equivalent of someone telling you that, like, you keep watching this series, it gets good after season 3, right? It's just too much time to commit to it. If I'm just not feeling it,
Yeah.
Whereas if it's an already beloved series, that's easier to sell. That's way easier to sell as, like, here's more of it.
Yeah. That's why IP, is always like, known IP gets greenlit way quicker than, a brand new IP. Some studio wants to make a brand new IP, and or the studio heads then are like, no. What if I called it Star Wars though? Okay. Ship it. It's important. It carries weight. Eric, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up or that you were missing out on before we bring this episode to a close?
Another style Witcher game.
Oh, what's your name?
Not The Witcher, but a open world.
The opposite of what we've just been talking about.
What the hell, man? We just just backtracking on everything we just said.
No, go for it. I like it.
I was never really. I was just saying no. I don't know.
So what do you mean by a Witcher style game?
So actually, linking it back to the first half where I was talking about Ghost of Tsushima, is I would love a Witcher style game in an Asian backdrop,
right?
Where you are playing someone fighting East Asian monsters,
right?
In this sort of grim, dark world.
So could I just throw it out there? Yeah, what I'm about to say is, would you prefer if Black Myth Wukong, which looks to be a bit more Soulsborne, would you prefer that was going to be more of a Witcher game? Like, that people are like, oh my god, it's The Witcher, but it's...
Yes.
As opposed to people going, oh, it's Dark Souls, but it's...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I hear you.
I hear you. That and the other thing where I'm like, oh, this would be so good. And other people tell me, it's like, oh, but this game is like that. It's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's not a fantasy version of XCOM.
Okay, who says that a game is like that?
There was one chap told me Divinity, Original Sin was like it. And I tried playing it, and I was like, no, it's not quite. It's not quite the same. I understand what you're saying, but it's not quite the same.
So you want a turn-based fantasy strategy game?
Why do I feel like it?
You mean more?
Why do I feel like Adam's going to say Final Fantasy?
well, there's loads, right?
There's Final Fantasy Tactics, I guess, which would.
But you mean you basically want an XCOM with a fantasy skin. Like, it plays exactly like XCOM.
Yes, it's...
And you name the characters, you create the characters. If they die, you continue playing.
Exactly, and you have a base in your item management and your base building.
What if, just tying it into an older episode...
Right, we fucking do it.
We do that, right? It's that formula, right?
I don't know how to do it.
We're pitching it. We're pitching it, right?
All right, let's pitch it. Let's pitch it.
It's that formula that you're talking about there.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's Battle Realms.
Battle Realms. Holy fuck.
Oh, shit, man. Because the Asian back... Oh, my God.
I got it all in there for you.
You got it all in there,
It's fucking in there, man.
And you call it Infinity Blade. Oh, my God.
No, that's an unlockable weapon in the game.
Oh, my God. Holy fucking shit.
That was actually... that weapon
overload.
That weapon was in Fortnite. And I was like the only person in college to be that's the Infinity Blade. And everyone's like, what?
Of course you were the only one.
You could get the Infinity
Blade. That's amazing, though.
You could get the Infinity Blade in Fortnite. Like, you could get the Infinity Gauntlet. And you could be John Wick. It was...
that's fucking sick. We should do some time. Just Adam sparked an idea there when he's like, we're pitching this. We should do an episode sometime where we have to pitch a game idea that will never happen, but we gotta pitch it anyway. But now what I would love to hear from other people is, what game or genre or style of game are you missing? What would you like to see that, even despite the amazing games that are coming out, and despite how fucking packed 2023 is in almost every genre, what kind of experience are you still missing or itching for that you can't seem to find? Do let us know. Or if you just have thoughts on the stuff that we discussed and rambled about in this rant of an episode, basically, feel free to share your thoughts. Tell us we're wrong, or tell us we're right, or add to what we had to say. Please do feel free. If you're watching YouTube, jump down in the comments to share your thoughts. If you enjoyed our ramblings, please give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell for future content. And to those of you who listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter, as we've been calling it, at the Brothers Take, again, to give your take on everything we brought up in this week's episode and to share ideas of your own. Thank you very much for checking out this week's episode. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.